Hello, I'm Jonathan Bowman-Perks and welcome to my favourite time of the week, the chance to share some thoughts and ideas with you, the things that other people have kindly taught me, which I want to pass on for free to you. So the first thing I want to talk about, this is part 2 of how to chair powerful meetings. And in part 1, I gave all the sort of preparation and the run-up to this. And this is the bit about the main body of the meeting. And then next week I'll do part 3, which is the wrap up, the follow up, and making sure that it sticks and it isn't just a meeting which is an update and nothing comes from it. I'm very grateful to Nancy Klein, who wrote an excellent book, which I recommend to you, called Time to Think. She also did More Time to Think as well. But the Time to Think book is, both of them are good, particularly useful. And if you want to be trained in her methodology, it's also well worth going on her course. It's brilliant. She's made a huge impact on me. So some of these ideas are hers, and I've welded in a whole range of other ideas that I've learned over the years of chairing meetings and teaching people how to chair meetings. And if you want to get in touch with me to help you in the running and facilitating of your meetings, let me know. Drop me a line on this or go onto my website, jonathanperks.com. So think about the meeting. You're running the meeting. Firstly, restate the purpose. Be very clear why you're having the meeting. If you haven't got a purpose to the meeting, as I said before, there should be no meeting. And if the person chairing the meeting that you're attending can't give you the purpose and the outcome that you want to achieve at the meeting, then it's a pretty pointless meeting and you shouldn't be at it. And in some cases, I've actually said, look, excuse me, I have to go. I've got some key work things I have to do. I've left the meeting rather than be in a desperately dull meeting. So, restate the purpose. Then it's important as chair that you appreciate the team as a whole, what it is about the team that you appreciate, let them know, because you want to light up their prefrontal cortex, their higher order thinking. And also, if you're well in touch with your team and you know them well, it's really good to point out person by person a quality you appreciate about them or something that they've done since the last meeting that has gone very well. You specifically want to appreciate that. Remember the 3 S's? Be specific, be sincere, and be succinct. So, appreciation of the team and of the individuals. Then you're just going to set the ground rules. Always going to have ground rules to any meeting that you're chairing so people don't go off in random ways and take over the meeting and talk all the time so that no one else has any time and no decisions are made and it's just ghastly. So, ways of working, I find 6 are quite useful. Firstly, dignity, respect and appreciation. It's a mix of 3 very important things. Treating people with dignity, showing respect, and in the way you turn up, and also looking for the best in others, appreciating them, what's working well, and building on their ideas, and catching people doing things right, and thanking them for what they've done, rather than being in a scarcity mentality. You have an abundance mentality. You're looking for the best in other people, and your colleagues in the team are not trying to score points over each other. They're actually building on them, giving support to each other. That's the first one. The second one is showing commitment. A lot of people have a meeting and they go, right, okay, we're going to take a 10% pay cut. Okay, right? Oh yeah, all agreed? Yeah. Dead silence. No one says anything. No intimation of any support for this. The person goes, good. Right, glad that's agreed. Now let's move on to the next question. No. They haven't agreed at all. But then they have meetings after the meeting to discuss the meeting, because in the meeting they didn't make a decision, they didn't show commitment. And they bitch about it, and they have a meeting before the meeting because the meeting itself is so poor. So no, make sure you flush them out. Get them all to visibly show whether they are fully committed, which is the thumbs up, they're not so sure, which is the thumb sideways, and they're violently against it, which is the thumb down. I'll talk about this later on, but commitment, thumbs up, sideways or down. In all my meetings, I think those are the things that people say is the most useful. Can't remember where I learnt it from, but someone taught me that, and I think it's a great addition to the ways of running transforming meetings. The third point is get them to listen. As Nancy Klein would say, listen to ignite another person's thinking rather than listening to respond. We used to joke that when I was in IBM, people didn't listen. They just reloaded to fire in there. They were not listening to what you're saying. They were just trying to get their point over. So listen. Point 3. Point 4 is brevity. Good leaders can say what they need to say in 30 seconds to a minute. Appalling leaders take forever, grandstand, take over the whole meeting so nobody else has an equal share of time. So keep them brief, and you have to have the discipline, and you have to ensure that they understand they've got to self-regulate with their own timing and their succinctness. And if they can't self-regulate, you have to step in and go, time out, thank you, that's it, your minute's up. I said you had a minute each, your minute's up, let's move on. But you shouldn't need to do that. You shouldn't need to do that. You may have to take someone to hand later on. Just say, look, I need you to be more succinct. Keep it to a minute. Practice it before you come back next time. So T is for timeout. 5, the fifth thing is the methodology. You try and get them to work in pairs. So people are talking in groups of pairs. If it's a meeting you're all in together, then you have rounds. Everybody takes their own turn in a round. Or you have a discussion where you might have something like an orange or a ball or something. Whoever has that, they're speaking, no one else can speak. And they have to speak briefly, and then they're looking for someone else, not someone with their hand up like this in school, which is saying, I've got to go now, shut up because I want to speak. But they wait till the person's finished, and then they go, yeah, okay, and they take it. And it can go around in any kind of order of the circle, because a circle is a great way of having the room set up without a table in the middle, just a circle of chairs, I find very good. So pairs, rounds, and free discussion where it goes back and forth around the room to different people. But then probably more people have talked, some people have talked and others haven't, particularly introverts haven't spoken, which is why pair work is so good, because they get that time to think and to speak. But then it comes back into doing a final round for people's freshest thinking. And then DANSAD, the mnemonic DANSADD. And I found this a really great mnemonic. What is the decision, the action, the next step, who is accountable, and the delivery deadline? No DANSAD, no meeting is the way we said. So that's the sort of ways of working at the beginning of it. Set yourself up for success. Go into the governance of approval of the last meeting. Don't spend long on this at all. Just ask who is going to propose that those are a fair reflection of the minutes, and then who's going to second that was the case. Don't go through it item by item. It's death, unless there's some particular point you want to bring out. Let's get on to the main point, which is the question that you want to have. And in a 40-minute meeting, you might just focus on just one key strategic question. Because remember, this is the kind of level you're at. It's not down in the weeds. You want to nail a few strategic questions. So you've turned the agenda item into a agenda item question. And the quality of the thinking that people have in the meeting depends on the quality of the question that you've asked them. So check that question out in advance to make sure everybody thinks it's a really great question, which will get some good thinking. And they've had it 5 working days in advance, so they've checked with their own team. So they're speaking on behalf of all of their own team or their colleagues who are there. So you've got some really good thinking going on. Say who wants to start, and we'll go to their left, or next time who will start, we'll go to their right. Hear them all. Get their freshest thinking so it's iterative. They're building on the last person, and it's better and better thinking that's going on around the room. Then get on to, okay, you've heard them all. Now you as the chair say, okay, here is my draft 1, decision, action, next step, who's accountable, delivery deadline. Can I have your commitment to that very clear and brief, succinct decision that you've made? Are they committed? Not so sure, down. And of course, you're going to ask, what will it take to make it a thumbs up? How are you going to flush them out and make it a thumbs up? And then you'll do draft 2 based on what you've heard from everybody. Don't deal with each one in turn. Just deal with them in the whole, and then get the second draft 2, where as many of them as possible have got their thumbs up, and even the ones with the thumbs down have been heard. So you then know that you can have that as the agreement between you, as almost like as a cabinet decision. Record the decision, and then the final couple of points to keep attention and help them be present. Keep it as a 40-minute meeting maximum, then have a standing break, let them go and have a refreshment break, come back, but start again, and no more than another 40 minutes. That's the maximum time. Final thought is output versus input. Many people love giving input and speaking a lot, but they don't want to take any personal responsibility or output. So make sure that people who attend your meetings are prepared, as well as giving input, to take output and take responsibility. Thanks, and I look forward to talking with you next week for the part 3, the wrap-up and the follow-through, to make sure it is a very successful meeting and that the decisions, actions, and next steps stick and stay.